All right, Buff, welcome back. We are on episode 2.
Too, baby. What's up? Happy Mother's Day to all those mothers that are watching and to all those gentlemen who took care of their ladies and making sure you do the right things for those girls out there.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. Obviously, Giant fan, Cowboys fan. We thought a somewhat of an interesting 5 days, right? The
Yeah,
Abdul
short week,
Carter,
ready to roll.
the Abdul Carter jersey hunt jumps from Lawrence Taylor, somewhat gets approved by Phil Simms, puts the negate on that. I thought it was pretty interesting. Belichick's girlfriend, ex-New York Giant coach, gets allegedly banned from the UNC facility. Seems like she's super involved when she could be taking more of a backseat approach. Yeah.
She definitely seems super involved. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
We're going to hit up the Devers saying, absolutely not. I will not play first base. I'm a third
Why?
baseman and you move me to DH. Derek Carr retiring. We'll talk NBA. Draymond Green talking about a point spread at the end of the game. Allegedly, pretty easy to read lips there. He says 5.5. But and then we're going to hit up all the games that were over the weekend and coming up tonight. Knicks got stomped, go down 20 for a third game in a row, could not pull off a miracle. In one game, the whole narrative has changed. And now I feel like as a Knicks fan, I'm hoping we could just get to game 7.
I mean, as a Knicks fan, you're definitely lucky you're not down 3-0. You know what I mean? You still got the lead. So
Yeah.
you want to jump into the Abdul Carter thing then? You want to take the top?
So sources say he went to Lawrence Taylor first, right? Well, first of all,
Sure.
the Giants have Lawrence Taylor and Phil Simms numbers retired, right? So he gets somewhat approval by the New York Giants to go talk to Lawrence Taylor. I think they're telling him, how much of a bag do you want to throw on his front doorstep, right? Lawrence Taylor shoots it down pretty quick.
Now, there's unofficial language, though. Like, you're saying how much of a bag you want to put on the doorstep. Are we talking like this is LT? He's a Hall of Famer. Like, from what we understand, his financial situation is not the best.
Thanks for
So,
listening.
like,
All right.
we heard that there was a mention, and then Rosenhaus, his
Yep.
agent, actually approached the situation. So, what do you think the numbers were from what was maybe to discuss to what you think was actually
I will say
offered?
this. I was like at first annoyed. I'm like, okay, that's kind of obnoxious. But once I heard Drew Rosenhaus was involved, I'm like, okay,
That's
he's
business. That's business
going
time.
to do the right thing. I think it was 250,000.
Quarter mil.
That's a guess that I have no basis on. Just I
You're
think
saying
Lawrence Taylor, that's a number that what's up, Brandon? Thanks for listening, buddy. I think that Abdul Carter went to Drew Rosenhaus goes, we can't say 25 or 50. It's got to be $250,000. What's up, Sean? Thanks for listening. And he put the bag out there, and Lawrence Taylor doing better than I thought he was, because I thought he would say yes to 250,000. He said, get fucked.
I mean, he must be clean, out of the rehab, like no more addictions is the only thing that screams to me. Guy must be living a clean life.
Years, but how many bags what can you buy with 250 grand? That guy will be buzzing. We could put the 56 jersey back on him and he can go, he'll have 12 sacks.
He'll go back out there for a couple quarters, last for hours, you know.
So then he goes to Phil Simms. And so the number 11, which this, is historic in the Penn State, linebacking crew, from LeVar Arrington, mauling punters, to your boy Micah Parsons, right? And many more I'm missing. And now Abdul Carter. So he wanted to go number 11. And
Respect.
Phil Simms actually said yes. And his family, thanks for listening, Mike, his family actually said, let's reconsider this. You're making a ton of money on CBS.
I was going to say, he obviously probably wasn't in the same proposition as LT.
Definitely not. Money wasn't a factor there, I don't think. And, Phil Simms to us, we hold him tight. I mean, I think he threw 3 incompletes in the Super Bowl when we smoked the Broncos. 21 for 24. It might be 21 for 25. Either one is definitely one of those. And, that was kind of the start of the Phil Simms, Bill Parcells, Lawrence Taylor kind of, team that won 2 Super Bowls in 5 years.
Sure.
86. Yeah. So, I thought it was interesting that he went for both of those. Some people say unaware, right? We like to use that term a lot.
I love the confidence, man. I think he's a kid who already knows he's a star. And I think if you're coming in as a star in the league, you got to make your presence felt. And I don't think making waves is necessarily, I don't think these were bad waves. I think the kid's just trying to get a jersey number and he's going through some of the greats and the lores. And I mean, if anything, number one, you're already getting out there. You're already getting, everybody knows who you are. And you're trying to put the name, the number, and the legacy on you, and you're just trying to show everybody that you mean business and you're destined for greatness. I don't knock him. I think he's getting a little bit of a hard time for it just because maybe it wasn't the most kosher way that he presented, the process, but for the most part, I don't have any quarrels with what he's doing.
All right, so let's kind of jump. We'll stay with old school Giants. Bill
Okay.
Belichick was a defensive coordinator of that team when
Yeah.
Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor were winning Super Bowls, right? And Belichick gets a lot of credit. Bill Parcells underling at the time, blah, blah, blah. His girlfriend allegedly, now UNC's backtracking a little bit, gets banned from the North Carolina facility. She has already abruptly interrupted his life, almost cut off a Bill
A
Belichick.
24-year-old Jordan Hudson.
Yeah.
Is this girl.
Good for Belichick, right?
You got a 24. Yeah, that's pretty good.
But it was just so weird watching Belichick tell Tom Brady and grown men and media what to do their whole lives. It was Belichick's stage. I'm running the show. And now we have Belichick getting told what to do by a 24-year-old girlfriend.
From the back of the room, though. It was all about it's the aesthetics of it.
Yep. From the back of the room. And it was a basic question of, where did you guys meet? That's how it first started. Where did you guys meet? And she goes, we're not answering that. And Belichick was like, whoa, what? And then what's up, Schuler? Thanks for listening.
What's up, Schuler? Pickens was asking about the Pickens asking about Pickens to Cowboys. Yeah, we covered a little bit on the episode 1, Brandon, but yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit here whenever we'll
talk about the Cowboys right now. I think Pickens and the Cowboys makes them, maybe a top 5 offense in the NFL. I think Dak Prescott comes back with a vengeance. They still have a good offensive line, good play caller. I think Dak has finally said, I took all this money. I got paid. I got 2 of the best receivers in the NFL. Let's go throw some jump balls. And I mean, he's still going to shit the bed when it comes to what's up, Skylar? What's up, Chef? Thanks for listening. I think he's going to still throw picks in big times, but he's going to be a fantasy god. I'm predicting 5,000 yards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, go.
I think that the Cowboys offense actually has a real chance here to turn something around and to be something special. I mean, we're definitely going to over exceed anybody else's expectations. Like you said, we got the line, we got a legit number 2. I think our running game is going to be better than expected. You have to surround Dak with the proper, weapons and tools that he needs. And I think we're showing everybody that this is it. Like our window is, it's closing. We already have this quarterback. We need these receivers, and it's time to put the business, to the rest of the division. I'm definitely seeing us. I was saying 8 to 10 wins in our last episode. I see us over 10, man. I was listening to a little bit of rhetoric and looking at some numbers. I definitely see our offense being a top 10 offense in the league. I could see us that's the top third. So I could see us maybe finishing at like 8. I could see Dak throwing over 4,000 yards. He should probably throw 4,500 if we're going to have a legitimate shot, but he's got to keep the picks down. And with Pickens there, I think he's going to have more options. I don't think he's going to be forced to fit the ball in. I think it's a good look, man. I like our future, and sitting 5 days after the trade, it's a little bit more exciting now than it was whenever it first happened.
I think that's a 1A, 1B. And if Pickens is single covered up top, just throw it up. He's going to go get it. But yeah, back to Belichick. I just think it's weird to watch him bully media and people for 30 years, win ring after ring after ring, and now his girlfriend's telling him what to do. Daniel, thanks for listening, buddy.
Thank you, Daniel.
I just think now he's got a smoke show on his shoulder, on his elbow, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't want to get rid of her, obviously. I think that's they pretty understand where those things are going there. So I think Belichick yields to her. I just think it's weird that now UNC is telling Bill Belichick, hey, your girlfriend can't come and hang out with us, right? Like she's your
Yeah,
this.
I mean, if you're gonna ban her from the whole school and from property and everything, I think that tells you everything you need to know. I think it's embarrassing more than anything, and for somebody who's supposed to be a no nonsense, non distraction guy, I feel
Yeah,
like this is like the ultimate, I guess 180. Like you have an ultimate distraction. You have somebody telling you what to do, and you're supposed to be over here being the leader of young men, and with this pedigree and this history, and he's got all these rings, and you're over here like taking, direction from a girl who's younger than some of your players. So I don't
yeah,
know. I feel it's definitely ironic to
yeah.
see him wearing this shoe, right?
Yeah, I'm working on the camera angle, Javi. I appreciate it. But yeah, all right, let's bounce around. Let's go to Boston, but we're not going to do the Boston Celtics yet, right?
Sure.
I want to talk about Devers. Now,
All right.
I had a strong stance on this 3 months ago. You could ask a lot of our, like Javi and a couple of our Boston Red Sox fans. I thought they brought in Bregman. Bregman is a better fielder on every analytical level, but they just gave Devers that big contract. I thought it was a really bad move to move him off of third base. I thought he was still, he was still respectable enough, and maybe he could have got better over time, that they could have found the place for Bregman. I know they have a star second baseman coming up. Figure it out, but don't move your star cornerstone of your franchise off of third base. Now, on that note, they moved him to DH. He begrudgingly did it. He did not want to do it. Moved to DH. Now they're telling him, hey, however you say his name, Casas, he gets hurt, and they don't. Devers says, I am not.
Yeah, Tristan Cassis. That's who you're looking at.
General manager flew halfway across the country to talk to Devers about it, and Devers for right now is still saying, I will not play first base. What do you think about a star player? Judge has moved all around the outfield. Haven't heard one thing about it in the press. And I think if we ask Judge right now, we need you to go play first base, he would say, where do I sign up, coach? That kind of attitude, I feel like, is, and you know what? Things change. And you're hitting 7 home runs and batting 280. You're not knocking anything out of the ballpark here, right? No pun intended. But what are your thoughts? Star player saying, no, I won't do this?
100%, man. I remember when I played Little League Baseball, coach moved me around a little bit. I was in right field. You know that it's not always the best position, but you just want to be a team player and you just want to play, right? Now, maybe he's just had such success and pedigree his whole life.
And that's what it is.
100%. And the guy he wants to show off his third base arm and gun it across the field and make amazing throws. And I feel that it's more of a pride thing. And I think it's definitely his ego. And I think it's somebody. I mean, I remember when Devers had first got called up and he was one of the phenoms that everyone had been looking forward to. He's obviously lived up to that hype. I think baseball is always a game of ebb and flows. You got to take the down years. Say it again.
Is that the worst ballpark for a lefty to hit in?
I mean, absolutely. And you got to take these things
down that line. It goes so deep.
Yeah.
Right field, or left field is perfect for any righty, right? You could just hit a line drive off the wall and a lot of home runs. As long as you get it up there, it goes out. Left field goes shallow, real deep, real quick. Center has like a 20-foot wall, 15-foot wall.
Yeah, it's not pretty, man. And I think it's an awful look for you who's supposed to be the face of your franchise, a cornerstone, and one of your most popular players, for you to give the attitude like that. And I think that you're showing some of the other up and coming players, that you're a little bit upset that maybe they're there and they're taking your shine. And you're just kind of showing your ass right now. So
you got to be a leader, right? And
you got to be a leader, bro. You got to be a leader.
You've already kind of proven that your third base numbers weren't good enough, because baseball, it's about the numbers, because
it's the ultimate analytics game, man. You can follow and quantify every little thing.
Yeah. Football could be different, right? Because football, if you're a receiver, you could argue, oh, well, I smoked this guy twice. I didn't get there. The quarterback.
I mean, in football, you have guys that are described as high motor skilled individuals, which isn't even a skill. It's like just an inner fight because you're undersized and you just have a quit that never stops. You know what I mean? Like They
Yeah.
give you descriptive words to find a hole for you. And for Rafael Devers, I feel I think he's upset, man. And I think it's an ego thing.
And
And you
his
can,
contract isn't crazy, right? It's not like a Soto
no, I
contract.
think that's also part of it, right?
But also, I don't know, man. You're making $30 million a year. Coach and GM go tell you to play first base, and you're batting 280. You go play fucking first base, right?
Yeah, but even with those numbers, the guy still can be getting paid 60 million, right? Like
No,
baseball is
I
just
don't. No, I
ridiculous.
mean, well, yeah. I mean, you want to compare it to Soto, but yeah, but I don't ever think Devers was that guy where Devers is a really good ball player. He's like a fatter Jose Ramirez, right? But not as good. I mean, I
I mean,
don't
yeah,
know.
Jose Ramirez gets steals, bro. Don't
And
dog
I'm
my guy,
also Jose
Jose.
Ramirez is a great fielder too. Like has
100. He's a
literally
real third baseman. He's
he's
probably
a real
the
third
epitome
base.
of third base.
Devers, they had to put him. They had to put the marshmallow somewhere, right? Um,
100%. Trying to hide your deficiency, maybe, and they just couldn't hide it anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I don't know. I think you just kind of bounce back and you say, "I'll do what I have to do." Now you want to start batting 325 and hitting 50 home runs a year. Then you say what you want, right?
I mean, as the Red Sox, though, are you frustrated that this is happening because that division is ripe for the taking? You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot going on. You have the
Oh, the
Yankees,
American League.
obviously.
The American League is grossly weak.
I
Grossly
would
weak.
just be I would be pissed off if I'm ownership that this is like a year where you could still just make a couple of moves to figure it out. It doesn't seem like it's that far off,
Yeah.
and then this is what you have to deal with. It's not a headache that I would want.
Yeah. Now let's jump. We're gonna jump to the NBA, but we're gonna talk about something that's a little bit of a hot button issue, right? Draymond Green, towards the end of the game, everybody saw it. He mentioned the
Clear
five and
video.
a half point spread, right? And he said something. What do you say exactly that we can read lips on?
It looked like, from what I would give my humble and accurate opinion, what I saw is he definitely said 5.5,
Yeah.
right? And then he definitely said the spread. And like you
Yes.
could see him like pause. There was like a little bit of conversation, and then he was like the spread. And you
And then
could see the other players were looking around, and he was definitely talking to his own teammates.
so
Meanwhile, he's got on the jumpsuit and the towel,
yeah.
right? And they're down 8 at that moment when he's talking about this.
So this is why it's a polarizing issue, though, right? I would say if we went to the Knicks Celtics players tonight and asked every one of them what the spread is, 90% of them would know the spread, right? You
Sure.
just know, hey, we're a 10-point underdog at home tonight or whatever it is, right? So do you have a problem with players? Because play to the whistle, play to the clock ends, play to the fat lady sings, right? But do you have a problem knowing that maybe if it's not your hard-earned money, but if gambling, deep down inside is a root issue. Now, Draymond, I think, is one of those guys that is like, hey, you bet on the Golden State Warriors. If we're not going to win, we at least want to cover. I think that's just the kind of guy he is. But I have a feeling Adam Silver is nipping this in the bud real quick. And they will be telling every player, do not, I know you know it, do not mention it or talk about it.
Yeah, it's still like, especially for anybody who's been watching the NBA long enough, the whole Donaghy thing and the ugly black eye that's still left. And you know me, I'm a known sports conspiracy theorist. I know that you don't like sports conspiracy theories, but I feel it just plays into the whole rhetoric of there's always some kind of Vegas involvement in point shaving and how much of it is, like all real and is it just situational? I don't think there's a problem with players knowing the spread. If the players are shouting it on the floor at the end of the game, obviously it looks suspicious. I think that there's definitely an email blast going out to all teams and ownership saying, shut the F up right now. And we can't have any kind of, looks like this. And I think that Draymond is the type of guy to sit there and be that competitive and want to beat a spread and to want to say that. So I think, to his defense, as you say, it makes a lot of sense that he could just be talking trash, and at least at that point, knowing that they took the L, that they almost covered the spread,
Also, do you think it's let's just jump right into the game. Sean Overman and I were talking about this last night. Isn't it embarrassing that Minnesota has to battle to beat Golden State without Steph Curry? I mean, I'll tell you this right now. Whoever wins that OKC Denver Nuggets series, if Minnesota wins, Minnesota's getting swept. They look like absolute dog shit. They put up 31 points in game one. They're literally going toe to toe without arguably, not arguably, unarguably one of the greatest players of all time, not on the court with Steph Curry.
Yeah,
And
they
they
literally had to
just
come
can't.
back. Like the Warriors had them. Like, I
Yep.
mean, they were
And
up. And if not
kudos to
for
Jimmy
that,
Butler to carry that team and Draymond and your boy Buddy Hield. But I just think it's crazy that Minnesota this is just not the team that we thought kind of had that championship pedigree over the last couple years. And I see Anthony Edwards as, a star of the league. The guy's got swag. He's got the hops. He's got the defense. He's got
you
the
saw him
jumper.
going aggressively, just yamming on people in that game too, trying to make a statement, trying to get his team
The
fired
guy,
up.
honestly, like his edge is incredible. That roster is pretty weak, and Edwards has been kind of off a little bit, right? Like he's scoring. I know he had
Yeah,
a
he
great.
hit a couple of clutch threes. They're supposed to be hanging their hat on defense with that team.
The
Like you
guy's
could
got to shoot
tell.
30 shots to make 30 points, though, right? Like, but I just think they've been absolutely watching them just not be able to manhandle
Golden
those
State's, I'm telling you, I like Golden State next game, man. I really do. I like Golden State next game. I
people.
think we're at the time of the series, especially with most of the playoff series, that you're going to have some back and forth. The chippiness is there. Obviously, going to other games, you saw some pushing and shoving. But I mean, you could tell that this Golden State team is not laying down. I think that with Hemi and some of those other weapons and pods, and I think they got enough to sneak it because the Wolves
we're
have
live.
shown that
We're
they're
live.
not going for the jugular. They're
We're
I
live.
think they're evenly matched, and I think they're overmatched whenever Curry's on the floor, 100%.
Yeah. Let's talk about the drumming that the Celtics. This is live, Thomas. Can you hear us all right? Is our audio okay? I know we had some technical difficulties with the storm that buzzed through.
Yeah, we're live, Tommy.
But all right, let's jump into the Knicks Celtics game, right? Thanks for listening, buddy. We'd love to.
All right, so let's talk about it
Please like and
because
subscribe also, just because. Yeah, I'm off my iPhone. I'm still trying to figure it out. I got that mic that you told me about, but thanks, Thomas. But what about the drumming that the Celtics put on the Knicks? I mean, it was,
all right, so you're a Knicks fan, right? And you got the Knicks that were up 2-0. Both games came down to a clutch steal by Bridges. You knew, and you had been saying all week, I know you were kind of placating to the rookie's guy Javi, our buddy, and letting him know that MSG was going to be pumping. They were going to be chanting defense. It was going to be a lit environment. I didn't think any of that mattered. I thought that you knew the Celtics. So did you. We're going to come in and handle business. And
I thought they'd come in and handle business, but let me tell you, at 3:15, me and Kaiten are walking around the house, pacing, blasting "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. Every motivational song. I put the Phil Collins song on. I wanted to donate one of my kids for a Madison Square Garden ticket. I hope Barbie's not watching. But I literally was like, Madison Square Garden is going to be blowing up. And you saw the crowd. You saw all star-studded. Eli Manning, Ben Stiller, of course, Spike Lee.
Decked out.
It's been 30 years since I've been this jacked up for a Knicks game. I fell asleep halfway through the third quarter.
Yeah, it was bad, dude.
It
didn't even get close. Like the Knicks, they made a couple of runs, cut it from 30 to 20.
Yeah, I was supposed to celebrate Mother's Day on Saturday, and I put Barbie aside to watch the Knicks just get their doors blown off, and I'm still in the doghouse for that. Thank you. We just need a little more energy. I don't want to go down 20 every game and then just have to fight back. Like I want to.
Yeah, that was my next comment. I don't know how many games you can go down 20 and expect to sit there and get the W, man. And if it happens again next game, it's going to be the same results, you know?
Yeah. 3 games in a row. And we're just, thank you, sweetie. That's so sweet. I think that it's just crazy that Boston's good, right? But there's just so much pressure on Brunson and Towns. Mikal Bridges had two possessions in a row where he went up for the jumper and came down. Didn't shoot it, didn't pass it. 2 up and downs within 1 minute. We have to come out, let Boston beat us, right? But we have to come out with more energy. It's just real hard to watch us every game go down 20 and watch Brunson and, all these other it's just, there's a lot of pressure on Brunson and Towns.
It's a
And
lot
we
of
need
pressure,
more
but
from
like,
OT and Mikal Bridges, right?
yeah, we all knew that Boston's role players are going to come out. Derek White, Pritchard, you knew they were going to come out and have a good game. And there's only so many shots that they can miss. They were very bad from three, and that's
Knicks were
obviously going to turn
yeah,
around.
Knicks were 5 for 25 from three. And I've always hated this. Kevin Durant is known for this. And I always thought it was an oversimplification. But Kevin Durant's always said it's a make or miss league. And you make your jumpers, you win. You miss your jumpers, you lose. And I always thought that was like an oversimplification. But watching the Knicks Celtics game that day, like we're down 20 and then we lose by 20, whatever it is, right? 20 plus. And we literally we were 5 for 25 from three. Let's not talk about Boston was ice cold the first two games. I know that. But there was like 10 of those threes that were literally just wide open. And we were missing layups. I'm not talking about contested layups. I'm talking about layups that 6'6" NBA players usually make. And we're just missing.
Sure.
So do you think that's an oversimplification of if you make your shots, you win. If you miss your shots, you lose. It's a make or miss league. Everybody overanalyzes this or that. But like these guys, when there's nobody on the court and they're at home shooting in their private gym, they don't miss. Like it's one of those things, right? And then in the stadium, the crowd, the defense, they're out of breath, the pressure, everything changes, and they still look great. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like you put Kevin Durant in a gymnasium by himself, and the guy will shoot 53s in a row and make 48 of them.
We've heard the stories about Curry hitting hundreds in a row. I mean,
So,
it's definitely an oversimplification. It is a make or miss league. There's a lot that goes into the defenses and sets. And the thing I love about playoff basketball is it goes from this, everybody who like, oh, they're a real running gun team. Everything slows down. You're half court. You got to have, everybody in the NBA is running the same plays over and over, but you got to have sets that are going to work against pick and rolls. And are they going to be in zone? Are they going to be in man? And I feel like all these little adjustments, it comes down to this coaching. And I felt that the Knicks have been making some adjustments in the second half, right? But I will give Kevin Durant credit. Y'all just didn't make any shots. So like anytime it can be overly simplified, sure, you can miss and you lose. But like whenever everything is going your way and then you miss the shot, that's when it really hurts, right?
And as a Knicks, exactly. As a Knicks fan, I'm hoping for tonight. Let's battle and keep it close, right? You
just can't go 20 down in the first half if you're the Knicks tonight. Keep it within 10.
Yeah, my mindset is we have to win one. That's how good Boston is, right? We're up 2-1, but my mindset is telling me the only way we win this series, if we win it in 7, because we have to get lucky, we have to win 1 out of the next 3. If we do that, we're at game 7 in Boston. Any Knicks fan would have taken that. We were minus 900, plus 610 coming back. But the Boston Celtics were minus 900 to win the series. Nobody gave us a shot.
Right.
We literally stole 2 from them in Boston. If we win this game, it changes everything. But at least give us the hope that if we keep it close, I think Tatum and Jaylen Brown could buckle. But let's win 1 out of the next 3. Let's move on. Cleveland Cavs, Indiana Pacers. Wow. Cleveland went down 41 in the first half. Never had a shot. And what really scares me is Mitchell. I haven't heard a report yet. Donovan Mitchell.
Still waiting on that MRI.
Wasn't shoot around. Did you see the injury? He literally did not roll his ankle. I zoomed in, watched it 50 times, and he just kind of started pulling on it. That is not a rolled or sprained ankle.
You think it's an Achilles?
I don't know, but it scares me.
They're saying it's an ankle issue, and obviously
they said he was working, like he had it earlier, but when you watch it, he was literally just walking around. All of a sudden, bop, right? I think that, okay, I will say this. If he's healthy, there's no way Cleveland loses the next game in Cleveland, right? And then we got a series. If he's out, it's over. It doesn't matter. Even if they came back and win, they're not beating Boston without.
It took getting Mobley and Garland back, to sit there and to make it competitive again. And I feel that if he's out, they're definitely cooked. They might have enough to maybe get it back to Cleveland because Cleveland is the home team, you know? And if you're Cleveland now, you're just trying to sit there and get it to 7 and you're hoping that Don can play. I don't know, man. It looks bad. You got this is the series that was, getting a little bit dicey. You had Mathern and Hunter get into it. I
What'd you think about
feel
that? I applaud the refs for that because Hunter looked like came in and just shoved them and knocked them down.
they went
And then,
back and did a little bit of, before the play research. Because whenever you do look at it, I just looked up and dude's on the floor and he's like goating him and he's got his hands up and he takes the shove. Um, I don't know, man. I think it's good for the Pacers to sit there and to show the chippiness. They're obviously trying to show that, they were disrespected. Cleveland definitely overlooked them, trying to get to the Boston series if Boston can finish. Um, and without Don, they're done, man. I love the Pacers. I love the pace that they're playing with. I love the shots they're hitting. They got Hallie just keeping them in the right positions, and I love
yeah,
everything about the
I'm
Pacers right now, bro.
rewatching this Benedict hit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just saw it. I think he didn't hit him that hard.
No, I
Did that
mean, it
warrant?
was kind of soft. I thought it was kind of soft, but I feel that maybe it was just one of those examples where the refs are trying to keep the game in line before it gets too out of control.
Yeah,
Because once you start losing players in the playoffs, it gets different. Spreads change, series change. You can't afford to actually have anybody suspended. So I don't know. I would rather you take the overcautious approach before you let it get too far out of hand and you start losing players.
yeah. So if they're
Too much
healthy,
money on the line, that's all.
yeah, if they're healthy, I like their chances at least to try to come back. But and then we covered obviously Minnesota, Golden State, and the series that everyone's talking about. A lot of people are saying that the two best teams in the NBA right now, the way they look, right? The spirit, Denver Nuggets, OKC, Jokic is just incredible. But OKC, it was looking real bad. Sean Overman, big OKC fan, was already saying in the third quarter, sell off the team. I want Giannis. We can't win this.
Trade Chet, get him out of
I
town.
love how sports fans, when it's all on the line, we always talk about pressure. I'm the same way. Overman was buckling under pressure. He's back there stocking beer bottle. He's like, it's over. I want Giannis. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's not blow up the ship yet, please. Like, I think that they actually have a shot, and they came back and won. And now it's a 3-game series. I think it's going to be fun. I truly think if Curry comes back, who knows? But the winner of these 2 games, sweep Minnesota. Maybe Minnesota gets one. And if Golden State wins, but the winner of these 2 teams, they're the favorite to go to the championship. And obviously, if OKC plays Boston in the finals, they sweep them.
Denver's been disrespected this whole series, and the fact that now people are kind of coming around being, like, okay, it's the best of 3, OKC. People were calling OKC to sweep them. Like they were calling Denver to win 1, and I just never saw it. And I think that Denver's got the pedigree. They actually had
it's the
some
same exact team that won the Super.
That's what I'm saying. They had Michael Porter Jr. and Christian Braun.
They lost KCP and Bruce Brown, but they got Russell Westbrook, who's looked great. I mean, I don't like how we dismiss a first ballot Hall of Famer like that because, he's one of the few NBA players that his shot has gotten worse, right? Almost every NBA player, if you look at it, their percentages go up. He started getting exposed because he couldn't shoot, even though I thought when he first came into the league, he had a very good mid-ranger. And now the mid-ranger has kind of been lost. So Russell Westbrook has kind of been swept into that. If you can't shoot threes, you can't shoot. But he has really electrified that team, and he gives them a huge spark. And I think he's one of those guys that he holds you accountable without saying anything, right? Because he just is such an energizer bunny that you just feel like if you're not doing what he's doing, you're letting down your team.
Just one of the most underrated players. He's so good, dude. He's having such a great impact on that team and the spark that he provides. And the fact that OKC, I feel like they're better on paper is what they think, and they got all this youth and they got all this energy. And I feel like whenever they see Westbrook out there and Jokic and Gordon, it's just different. And I feel that, last night, I feel like OKC got lucky last night, man. Denver kind of let that one go. Denver had the lead. Denver could be up 3-1.
Denver had
him, on the ropes.
Denver had him.
You got to credit Shai and you got to credit the boys.
OKC fans had Chet and Jalen Williams and 4 first-round draft picks already going to
already vouchered out for Giannis. But Shai calmed him down. He's so quick, man. When you
It's
look at his
unbelievable.
step and just like the way that he gets to the basket and gets to his spots on the floor is very impressive because he's by far the fastest player that's on
And you
either
know what I
team.
always
It's not
talk
even
about
close.
with speed, and this is where Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant did it good, but Michael Jordan was the best at it. Allen Iverson, it's body control,
It
right?
is.
Like you're going full speed and you're able to stop on a dime. It's the way I am in my head when I play basketball. And then I go out and then I go out on the court and nothing works like that. But it's like full speed turbo, pull up, and everything looks like in line, right?
Right.
Everything's squared up, no matter how fast he's going, right? And he's also one of those guys that isn't really a 3-point specialist, but I love how he plays the game, right? And just his body control is what put him not in. I mean, they said he's pretty much already won the MVP,
Sure.
but he's really changed that culture and that team real quick, and it all starts and ends with him,
100%. And I feel that the way that Shy is playing right now, man, he's probably the most interesting player on that team to watch. I love the way he handles the ball, of the way that he's literally on fire every single game. Like to see somebody his size come out and take his team who's so young and to be down in the fourth quarter and to show the poise. I feel everyone's been throwing around legacy game. I thought that was a big moment for Shy. And I feel that when he went to bed last night and he put his head on that pillow, there's a lot more belief, there's a lot more confidence they can beat Denver, and they're home. They got to win 2 out of the 3. I think Denver really screwed up last night by missing that opportunity, and I think it's a lot closer series now. If Denver wins last night, I think it's over 100% now. I think OKC definitely has the edge back, and I think Shai is the biggest reason for that. He's going to keep him calm, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shai comes out and goes for 40 next game. Like I think he's like kind of got that mentality. I think last game he realized that he's the guy. It's him. He could do it when he wants. It's about him putting the pressure on himself and manning up for that moment. And I think this
Yeah,
is his time.
I
This is it. I
agree.
think they're going to beat the Nuggets as long as Shy realizes that he's Shy.
Yeah, and I agree with Overman. If he does develop a 3-point shot, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. He's almost 36%. So he's getting up there, right? I think to me, I always look at it 40 and above, right? Once you're making 4 out of 10, people are running you off that line, and it's over for the NBA. And that's why I know we talked about it. I would not blow up that team. I would not go for Giannis. I would keep this unit together. With
Isn't it
financial,
crazy that the Clippers let him go? Like people forget, like people don't realize like
you
where
don't
Shy
know
came
what
from.
you
And I know
have.
they had such an embarrassment of riches at the time. It's just wild to me to let somebody go. And he's an MVP. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like they let an
you
MVP go.
don't always know what you have, right? Like
No, sure. Yeah, of course. That's why it is more interesting to talk about down the road.
look at the Kings. Like they gave away Halliburton. I mean, not give
Yeah.
away. I mean, they didn't give him away. They got Sabonis in
I mean,
return.
everybody saw Halliburton and his potential. Everybody saw it.
Yeah, but I didn't see that, and I'll never forget when the trade happened because I mean there was other details, but it was Sabonis for Halliburton.
Sure.
And I remember Carlisle said, I was thinking, why not go for De'Aaron Fox, which whatever. And Carlisle was like, this is a generational point guard, and I was like, Halliburton. I mean, yeah, he was good. I remember on FanDuel he was good, but because he was always priced right. But I'm like, this is like a sixth man. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
he went to the Pacers and blew up. Sometimes people see it. Sometimes,
So who's a bigger shock? Shy from the Clippers, Brunson from the Mavericks, or Halliburton from the Kings?
oh, like we talked about, but I was
Like,
yelling.
because those are like 3 of the biggest, like
Yeah,
from rags to riches story, or like none of them were really rags, but they were all guys that, they were perceived they could be the guy, but as soon as they were given opportunity, they
yeah.
well exceeded.
And we talked about it last episode. I shouted from the rooftops, the Brunson trade. We're paying up $20 million a year. That's trash. Obviously, I'm an idiot, right? But it's also interesting, right, too, because Dallas, can you imagine if they would have kept Brunson? And I mean this in a bad way.
Right.
He's so bald, right? He would almost have to play point guard and Luka would have to play shoot, right? That's the only way that works. They're both good shooters, obviously, but though they had to break those guys up, right? Because those are 2 of the most ball dominant players in the NBA. And yeah, I mean, you're right. It's Shy, Brunson, and Halliburton, Brunson can't be an MVP anymore. He's aged out of that.
Right, sure.
But no, that's not what Buff's asking, Sean. Buff's asking who's like a bigger surprise. I almost think it is Brunson because we didn't see SGA yet. I saw Brunson a lot. I watched him in college, right?
And we even saw a glimpse of him in the playoffs too. I mean, he was on the main stage with Nova, and we saw him on a run with the Mavericks.
Yeah, I thought he was good, but I never thought he would go down as a Knick great.
Well, it was Luka. Remember, Luka went down on that series, and Brunson was kind of featured in that role. And that's when everybody understood.
Ball handles, and I'm like, man, this guy, like, he's so crafty. You know what I mean? And then, so I honestly think Brunson is the biggest surprise out of those three because Halliburton, I believe in him, but a lot of people say the jury is still kind of out that he's running hot and getting lucky. But, it's a fun conversation to have, and you just don't always know what you have. It's just like any other sport, right? You put him in the right spot, and we go from there. Let's go to Derek Carr retiring. Pretty abruptly, right? I mean, I wanted to compare ages. He's 34, and Aaron Rodgers is still wanting to play at 41. And Carr always looked like one of those guys. I never thought he was a great quarterback. I always just hated the check down vibe. And I always felt like he could just never really push the ball down the field, even though he did throw for 41,000 yards.
65% completion, 92.8 passer rating. I mean, the guy's numbers were career great.
His stats look a lot better than what he is.
Old school Hall of Fame numbers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Does he make it in the Hall? Do you think he gets a jacket?
I don't think he even gets a vote. Like, I don't see how you even put him in.
He didn't even make the list.
Doesn't even make the list. But what are the Saints going to do?
All right,
you cannot roll out Rattler. You cannot do it.
All right, so you got the Saints.
Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers is still more tied to the Steelers. I don't think he's going to the Saints. I think the Saints are going to sit there and let them battle it out between Spencer Rattler and Tyler Slow. And I think it's crazy. And whenever we talk about these things, I love to talk about them because, number one, it's the fantasy fallout. And so jumping right into that, like you're talking about Derek Carr was tied to who? Chris Olave. That was like a top receiver, and he's no longer there. So where does that put Olave whenever you're talking about him in the future? You definitely get a discount on him. You got Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, maybe he's at the end of his prime. He had a nice little start last year, but I think this definitely puts the scheme heavily on his shoulders. You're going to get a lot of Kamara this year. And like the only other person who's really relevant would be like Shaheed, right? And like Shaheed is more of a deep threat. So how are you going to sit there with a guy whose arm you're probably not going to want to open up? I mean, like Tyler Slow, he's like 5'11".
Yeah. So Tyler's show, right? Is that his name? Hold on, let's see. They obviously drafted him before they drafted Shaheem, right? I mean, they drafted him before they drafted Shador.
Right.
Second round, 40th pick, looked good for Louisville. As the shows go on, we'll get, Jeff Schneider on here. We'll get some college football experts, but I don't know. I still don't think, and I know Gene's been holding on to this nugget. I don't know if it's inside info or what, but he's got a nugget that he knows who the starting quarterback's going to be for the New Orleans Saints come early September. I think it will not be Spencer Rattler.
I'm telling you, if you're the Saints, you can't let it be Spencer Rattler. You got the Bucks who look like they're going to be the class of the division, right? I mean, they definitely still got Baker. They got that offense. They just got Mbuka, right? So they got pieces. You got Penix and the Falcons.
The Bucks should run away with that division.
Right, but I'm actually a little bit worried about the Falcons because I think Penix looks good, and they got Bijan, and they have weapons, and they got London. Yeah. I think that they definitely finish second in the division, if not give the Bucks a little bit of a competition.
Those are the top two running away.
Those are the top two teams. And I know Bryce Young looked better for the Panthers, but I mean, I still put them as a solid 3. But as it finished, he actually looked competent and had a command of the offense. So I think if you're the Saints, you're clearly in last place in this division. You just lost your quarterback. You are scrambling. And if you're going to put it out for national news that you're having a competition between Rattler and Slow, like you're done. You know what I mean? You're definitely not planning on this year to have that much success. And like last year, do you remember the way it started? They outscored their opponents like 90-40. They were
It was
2-0. They were like, everyone, the Saints are back. They're going to the playoffs. And then they literally fell off. Derek Carr lost 7 games last year because of injury.
it
And
was
he
yeah,
had a lackluster finish. He finished like pretty much 500. His touchdown interception ratio, whatever. It just wasn't the way you wanted to see him go out. They obviously were planning on him to come back. The injury was such a tough injury because it's like a labrum issue. And so, like, they said that he would need surgery on it. So he would be out again this year. And then there's no guarantee that he comes back and is formidable in his age 35 or 36 season. So,
yeah,
like, how do you, if you're the Saints, handle it? So, of course, he just did the thing as any good man would do, and he retired.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Daniel's saying that Gabriel or Sanders somehow will be traded to the Saints. I'm still dying to hear Gene's hot take on the Saints.
I mean, I don't. If I'm the Browns,
checking sources.
If I'm the Browns, maybe I'd trade Dylan Gabriel, and keep Shedeur Sanders, and maybe you get a little bit more. I mean, Gabriel's only 5'11". He's from Hawaii. He played for a few college teams. He was a UCF quarterback, so we got a little bit of inside info when he was here. But like I'm thinking he's from Hawaii. Is he another Tua? Is he going to be just some accurate guy and he doesn't have like the NFL chops? Like, the best 6-foot passer we ever saw was Drew Brees. And until we ever see anybody who can have a longevity career like that, like, I just don't believe in anybody who's going to be undersized with an arm. I don't care what draft pick you were. And like the fact that the Browns went and got him and Sanders, I would maybe trade one of them or maybe him.
Dylan Gabriel lost by 100 his last game he played in college versus Ohio State, right? I mean, they got smoked. So I don't think well, first of all, they used their 40th pick in the draft. That is,
I know. I thought that was mind blowing. And I thought that was the Browns really being the Browns too, right?
And that maybe, I don't know if that gave Derek Carr a nudge. I don't know why it would. I would be like, get this fool out of here, right? But
if I'm Derek Carr, it just makes me more secure with my $150 million contract. Like, obviously, they're drafting for the future, not right now.
They really just saying, hey, this guy is this good. We're not going to go after Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, but I just don't see it. Like, we could even have a little fun and talk about that division a little bit, right? Bucks, Baker Mayfield. Now they changed offensive coordinators, obviously, because their offensive coordinator got moved up.
Canales, whatever.
Yeah, to the Jags, right? And Bucks are going to be scary, right?
I think the Bucks got 12 wins, like, for sure, if not more.
Yeah, one of the best offensive lines in football, a 2 to 3 headed monster at running back, receivers galore, and Baker Mayfield, who has shown if you put him in an offense, he will constantly get better and better.
And they got sneaky tight ends. Everybody always, disrespects the Tampa Bay tight ends, bro. Just whenever you think you got their receivers or their running game figured out, then here comes Otten.
Vita Vea coming up the gut, right? They got
500-pounder.
They have athleticism all over on their front seven. I feel like their secondary was weak. I don't know if it's any better, but that's going to be a real scary team, real fun team to watch.
Yeah, there's definitely no way that the Saints are coming out of that division. And I think whenever you take a shot on the chin like this, man, Derek Carr, I'm glad you're into opening churches, man. God bless you. Go do your thing and bring some people to God. And hopefully you can be involved inside of the Raiders or Saints organization later on. You're always a great dude. He's a great person, and love to see players move on.
Is that a real thing? Is that what he's doing?
Oh yeah. Him and his 3 brothers always been, publicly professing Christians, men of faith. Actually, cool fun fact, Derek Carr and Demario Davis are actually, they do church services and like worships together. So pretty cool. That's definitely what he wants to do. It's always been one of his dreams to open a church. And I think this just was an easy situation for him to just kind of parlay into it. Everybody was actually really worried about Derek Carr and this injury, especially at his church. So imagine Derek Carr walking up to the pulpit and he literally brought up pictures of his MRI to his church foundation because everybody wants to know, are we playing? How are you? Are you good? And so that was just kind of the connection with him and his whole congregation. He brought and showed them pictures of his MRI explaining the labrum tear and like the process of him going into the next season. So very transparent. a bit humorous. Obviously, he's got a good personality, and that's clearly what he's going to do. He's going to go in and get involved in the whole church thing, man. It's going to be cool.
All right, let's just stay in the and we're talking football now. I literally don't really want to talk about it. Once we start talking football,
that's a wrap, buddy.
We can go on and on, right? What about another team where I think it's like the Cowboys, where you have 2 star receivers and a quarterback that can get them the ball, is the Rams, right?
Sure. Oh, Devontae now, right?
So you have Stafford throwing the Puka. I still think Devontae is going to get a lot of the love the coffee mug too, Buff.
Gotta love mom. Gotta rep it.
I think that's another 1A, 1B. It's going to free up Puka. I think Devontae gets a lot of the one. John. So, okay, I get Gene's hot
That's
take.
a good play. That's a good play.
That Gene's hot take is that Winston goes back to the Saints.
That's his big hot take. Jameis Winston back to the Saints, throws 58 touchdowns, 46 interceptions.
And I could honestly see that. I don't see why the Giants would want 3 quarterbacks in the room. I was hoping Jameis Winston for like Malik Neighbors' sake, and I think that Winston still has wins in him. And I
mean, are you bringing Winston on to coach the younger quarterbacks? Is that a take?
I mean, yeah, but Winston, if Winston went there, he'd be starter week 1.
Oh,
right?
for sure. But you're also thinking about the effect of your future and what he does in the locker room. I mean, the guy eats W's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could get him for a lot cheaper than you could Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, right? And
I would rather have Winston than Cousins.
Yeah, me too. I honestly hope as a Giant fan, Winston wins this job day 1 and Dart sits on the sidelines for a year. I truly think with the weapons we have and with Dayball calling plays, that Winston can take that offense to the next level.
Hot take with Brian Dayball leading Jameis Winston in that Giants offense.
Yeah. The problem is
you think he could have more passing yards and a better rating than Josh Allen, who Brian Dayball used to run with the Bills?
I mean, it wouldn't be that good, but honestly, let's just stop. Every time as a Giant fan, I think about our schedule. Our schedule is such a freaking buzzsaw that let's just stop talking about. Okay, back to the Rams. You got Stafford throwing the Puka and Devontae. If you're a defense plotting against them week 1, let's say you have a number 1 corner. Let's say you have
you put him on Devontae.
Yeah, that's what I think, right?
Yeah, you put him on Devontae.
I don't think Devontae has lost a step. I've watched
not at all.
Watched him play for the Jets and the Raiders when they didn't have much of a quarterback to throw to him.
Right.
I mean, Rodgers, but it was still kind of weird, right?
Well, they had no line, so he was always under duress. Right? The fact that if he could run a route longer than 10 yards and he could get the ball is incredible.
So Puka, hands down, a first-round draft pick, right? Fantasy. Where are you going, Devontae?
I mean, Devontae is right there, 2nd, 3rd round, like even closer. It depends on where you're valuing him. I think if I go running back first, right? I'm definitely happy with getting Devontae. You know, obviously,
right? Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely happy with taking him, and I think that his value is going to be extremely good this year. I think people are kind of counting Devontae out a little bit. I think you're going to get a discount because of that season he had with the Jets, and I think that people are so in love with Puka Nacua that they think that he's the number 2.
With Kyron Williams in that backfield, I mean,
right, and they still got Blake Corum too. You know what I mean? And they're gonna continuously evolve with this offense. You already know that with McVay, and I can only see nothing but greenfield for Devontae Adams.
And it seems like so long ago, but Rams were the only team that gave the Eagles any fight, right? In the
yeah, you're right. In that first round playoff game, it took everything they had. They almost lost.
I think the Rams are going to be.
So Devontae Adams is ranked wide receiver 21. Very interesting, right? That puts him at 44th overall, and you're putting him right there in the 3rd or 4th round. I think that's a steal. Right?
Yeah, I think
ahead of him, would you take Marvin Harrison Jr. or Devontae Adams? I'm taking Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin or Devontae Adams?
Devontae Adams.
And that's tough, right? But because now they got Debo and McLaurin has such a great connection, he's showed a lot of rapport.
He did, and I love Scary Terry. Yeah, I think
Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams. We're going up the list, by the way. We're not going down. We're
No,
going
yeah,
up the
that's
list.
this year.
Devontae Adams over Garrett Wilson.
Devontae Adams, right? Yeah.
JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, or Devontae Adams.
Oh, Devontae Adams, right?
Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
Lad
Smith,
McConkey, Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams, right? Yeah.
Bro, and we're talking about that's ranked 22. He's wide receiver 11.
Yeah.
That's the disparity that we're showing here with like how far he's dropping. This is why I just wanted to this is way too early rankings, right?
Yeah,
and we know that things are going to show. And God forbid if Devontae Adams, if there's any news that comes out that he's popping like Cooper did last year, he's going to come out and get overdrafted and we'll lose the value, you know?
Yeah, and I think that the big thing for them obviously is just they have to keep Stafford upright and healthy, right? It just seems like it's not an easy task to keep him healthy, but if Stafford stays healthy, sky is the limit.
Yes, I mean, I feel like this is Stafford's last two run. I think when Stafford looked at this team, I think he saw Puka, and obviously, you know, your team is different. Your running game is still there. Your defense is, you know, you still got a little bit of a structure. You're like, man, let's just give it one more run. You give him a healthy year and try to put that magic back together. I love Stafford this year. I think Stafford's just going to be all in. And when you're looking at value quarterbacks, I think he's just another guy that I don't want to take a quarterback early in any draft, because I wouldn't mind if you got Puka early and you comboed Stafford late in the draft, where you don't get Puka and you get running backs and then you get Devontae and then you combo him with Stafford late in the draft. I feel your team would be so strong. And obviously you're going to have to draft a second quarterback just, you know, for preventative measure. But I mean, I feel it's a lot like that Baker Mayfield thing last year. I mean, and Jared Goff is another one. Those three guys, grossly underrated, grossly underdrafted, and they're all going to finish as a top 10 guy. I mean, we're literally having some of the same conversations every year because everybody wants to get so cute with their fantasy draft, you know?
Yep. Now, staying in that division, the Niners have came out publicly and said, we're paying Brock Purdy. The big contract is coming.
Do you think that's a mistake?
I'm still waiting for a team to actually just admit, hey, we're this good because we're on a rookie quarterback contract. You know what I'm trying to say? And like,
yeah.
And then just let them sail into the sunset and let's take a chance on another rookie quarterback. And let's just say, hey, our pieces are so good that I think that there is 30, because can we say this? If Brock Purdy was on any other team in the NFL, he wouldn't have did what he did with the Niners those few years.
100. Yeah. We always have that one game, like put so-and-so on Shanahan's offense. How are they? You know, like, of course they're going to be amazing.
Fan, I used to say this for years, if not Eli, then who? And it was almost like a scare tactic.
If not Dak, then who, right?
Exactly, right? It's almost like you're scared just to, maybe like this is kind of what the Saints are doing. Obviously, Derek Carr's retiring. But they're maybe just like, hey, when Carr was healthy, we put up 90 points. We got weapons all over the place with Olave, Kamara, Shaheed, pretty good offensive line. We got the coaching. We got an indoor stadium. We could just roll up anybody in this thing that's not Spencer Rattler that could throw 50 yards and isn't 5'4". But and we could just
I say if you're the Niners, you bait everybody in like you're going to sign Brock Purdy, and you get somebody to come in and undercut you, give them a deal, trade them away, and like make your bet and try to get assets for it. I don't think they're obviously going to do that, but I just don't believe in Brock Purdy. I think that he's efficient under the yards, and I think that he has some good games. And obviously, you're like you said, you're always going to look better under certain schemes. And I don't see it. I see undersized. I don't see the arm strength to get the ball down the field. I see accuracy, and I think he is an NFL quarterback. I just don't know if he should get paid as one of the top ones, even though he's probably going to. And I think he does have a pedigree and he's got a history. They've been to championship games. I for whatever reason, everybody loves Brock Purdy. And last year, I think I fell for it in one league, and it was I didn't start him like at all. It's awful. I don't want him.
It hurts me to say it, because the story is so cool. He hasn't even got paid his contract, and he bought all his O-lineman cool stuff, right? Like the guy like still lives in an apartment, drives a beater. And I actually saw him here in Orlando in his last college football game, which at the time we didn't even know who he was. And then I heard Brock Purdy, and I'm like, who was
Isn't
that?
he the guy that dropped the trophy or whatever? Or
I
is
looked
that
him
him?
up. Yeah, I think he did that too. And I looked up, I'm like, we saw his last college football. And that was actually Caton's first football game he's ever been to with Clemson Ray. It was honestly a real cool thing. And that's what got him.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I love Brock Purdy. It's just hard to just drink the juice and just say, hey, I want to pay him $50 million a year when, they've already they let Debo go, right? Because of
Kittle's
this.
got 2 years left, right?
Yep. Kittle's
Ayuk's a headache. Ayuk's a prima donna wide receiver who's already threatened to go and then stayed. And you
now
don't know
actually kind of coming full circle. Are the Niners like, well, we don't have time to develop another guy for a couple of years, right? So if he's our guy or not, we have to stick with him because we have C-Mac, Ayuk, Kittle. We have all these pieces in place. We just got to try to win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, which you could argue. I mean, he's gotten them there once. He's gotten to the NFC Championship game a few times already, right? So, and he probably would have gone to the Super Bowl twice if he didn't get hurt. But that's real dicey territory. And I guess it's almost like they have to do it. But it just sounds like this contract's going to be a real long one.
It's crazy. Like the Niners have some streak going. Like they either don't make the playoffs or they make the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
It's like either everything or go home, Yeah. And I feel that their defense is still good enough to uplift them. Talking about that division, you're looking at a different Seattle team, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at an improving Arizona team. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, Arizona, I think they're cursed. That's my own personal take. I got a whole story about the Pottsville Maroons and the curse of the Cardinals and everything. I don't know how good they're going to be in that division.
Where are you drafting? Jeff just asked, where are you drafting Ayuk this year?
Yeah.
Honestly, for me,
I think Ayuk's got a lot of value.
Are you going third round with Ayuk or fourth round? Yeah, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if he's fallen down to you that far, you definitely got to take him. I just think
where are you happy with him?
I mean, I'm happy with Ayuk being my second receiver.
Okay, so that would be in the third or fourth round.
Yeah, and I mean,
there's no Debo now.
Right.
Purdy has a connection with them. Who was the other guy that was blowing up? Jennings?
Ricky Purcell and Jennings. Those are the other two guys.
But Jennings was like a star. Pearsall had a couple big plays, but Jennings, when they were both hurt, came in.
Yeah, he had a 3-touchdown game.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ayuk blows up, right? Everyone knows Ayuk's a physical freak. I know some Niners fans like Frank from Kitties. They're still like, can he be a true number one, right? I think he can, but the jury is definitely still out. We'll see this year, right? It has to be this year.
This is his put up or shut up year. It has to be, dude.
That is kind of crazy, though, just to think a healthy team, Purdy, C-Mac, Kittle in the middle, Pearsall at slot, Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk. That's going to be fun to watch.
And like you said, they still got Ricky Purcell, who's like going to be their other guy, who's going to be coming running all over the field. And he's definitely one of the guys for the future. Yeah, I like the
Godwin range. Jeff's asking I think a healthy Godwin for sure, but I think Ayuk goes
I think you get Ayuk before you get Godwin just because of the injury aspect, like you're saying. I'm not saying I'm not saying that the numbers are going to be that telling. Like, obviously, Godwin's numbers can be very comparable. But I think when you're looking at the draft and everything that's going to come out, Godwin's definitely going to go after Ayuk.
Yeah. I think that it was so unfortunate, right? Because Godwin was just going on a career year. And I think that they probably beat Washington, right? If they have Godwin.
Yeah.
Because it was like a one play kind of game. And you just felt like, I don't know, that injury and the Bucks to do what they did and to sign him on you know what I mean? Bucks could have kind of done that situation dirty, and Bucks did the right thing with Godwin.
Yeah, 100%.
I wish I had the numbers right in front of me, but it was just a real, for how much the UK hates the Glazer family, and I've got to know them like just very slightly over the years. Just some of their family, like they've done a lot of Bucks players real good. That's like the one hidden brag I'll ever say about that. But the way they, I'm trying to pull it up. So, yeah, they did 3 years, 66 million.
So just to let you know, like right now, Brandon Ayuk is wide receiver 57. Like he's being drafted 131st.
Wait, how can we be that? How can we be that far off?
That's right. And then you have Godwin, who's like ranked in the 60s. So there's a little bit of, if you're looking at perceived value,
Are we
are
really
we
missing
that off,
something
or
there?
are we just ahead of the current top 200 list that ESPN has broadcasted? I think obviously Ayuk is clearly over 1,000-yard receiver.
Can we
I think
please
he's like a 10
can we
touchdown
like
guy.
really make a mental note of this? Ayuk is going in the 12th
131. He's pick 131 right now.
and the
And
10th.
then you have, I'm about to tell you right now, and you have Godwin at 66.
Jeez.
So that's,
how can we be that far off?
it's a massive discrepancy. This is why I love talking about this kind of shit this early on, is because these are the things that win you fantasy championships. And these are the kind of things that people grossly disrespect. I mean, Godwin's coming back off an injury,
Yeah, but
right?
Godwin, I think Godwin's gonna be great. I hope he stays healthy. I just have a little bit, he's had trouble staying healthy in the past, and I'm just nervous if he's healthy, there's not a better target
I love
for
Godwin
Baker
this year. I
Mayfield.
think he stays healthy. I'm all, this is one thing I've learned in fantasy sports. Injury bounce back years are very real. Sometimes it takes you like a second half of the year to really get going. I could almost, I'm not saying fade Godwin early in the year, but I could guarantee by the time week 8 comes around, he'll be fully humming, locked in, and he'll be making moves. Like I definitely like the value of a Brandon Ayuk over Godwin between these particular
Ayuk
rankings.
is third or fourth in my
100%.
life. Yeah,
And if I'm saying I want Ayuk as my wide receiver too, it sounds like you could get him as your wide receiver 4 or 5. And I think if you have a wide receiver stable and Ayuk's your 4 or 5, you're probably looking pretty good.
for sure. I'm looking up really quick.
But that's, I mean, is there another team or another move? You know what I thought was interesting is speaking about, picks and what's going on. There was that boy Higgins from the Texans. I'm excited about this kid because he was their second round pick. They fully guaranteed his contract.
Yeah,
So
you've
it
been
just
talking
kind of
about
gives you,
that. Yeah,
we
talk
talked
about
about this, right? So it gives you an inkling about a second round pick for the first time in NFL history being fully guaranteed. Now, you obviously are trying to put Nico Collins with somebody,
Yeah,
right? Because he's your stud and you
that
have
Tank
CJ
Dell
Stroud.
breaking leg, that Tank Dell injury was absolutely brutal.
The Tank Dell just, it hurt, I think, the entire NFL. I think everybody loved Tank Dell. And
Yeah,
everybody loved what he was doing. I
his
haven't
leg.
heard anybody, not even Sean Munson, the biggest fantasy player hater at all, say, "Oh, I'm so glad he got hurt." Like
Yeah,
he was literally a stud. He was a great guy, and that was a tragic injury.
yeah,
With that being said, Diggs wasn't it, and they're reloading. They still got Mixon. Gotta love their running game, their defense. I love the way that they look in that division. I like the Texans in that division. CJ Stroud had the biggest regression last year, and I think that he looked so good early.
yeah. Me and
And
you both had him as like top 5 receivers, and I was like,
I had him as like maybe QB1, honestly. Like I was like so grossly wrong, but that's how injuries affect things. And I thought CJ Stroud was going to throw like five touchdown games last year.
That
Like
was the weird thing is that people got hurt for that team, but
they really
they
did.
still always had talent going on the field.
And even when they had talent, I feel like DeMeco Ryans never let them out of the box. Like it seemed like a lot of the times they were just trying to keep games close because they had a defense. And so they didn't want to go risk it. And so they were playing within the numbers. They were playing close to the line. And I feel like, his average depth of target and everything went down. And once Nico got hurt, bro, then it was just a shell of the offense.
You know
and
what I thought?
they relied heavily on Mixon and he did great. But when it came down to crunch time, like they just couldn't have enough schemes and plays to make a move.
You know what I thought was fun?
Personnel.
What I thought was fun was like I heard someone talk about on a podcast about how Bryce Young towards the end of the year looked way better than CJ Stroud. And who would have, because those guys will be compared
forever
for the rest of their careers, right? And who would have thought we would have been saying this after Bryce Young gets benched? CJ Stroud's team is going to the playoffs, and it was unanimous. week 15, 16, 17, that Bryce Young, hands down, was looking like the better quarterback instead of
Bryce Young was scrambling. He was throwing dimes, double
Yeah.
coverage. He was making good calls. Like, I was so impressed with Bryce Young. And it's funny, man. We got one of our listeners, Mike Phillips. I know a lot of people know him. He was the biggest hater, and he's a Bucks fan, about Bryce Young. And it was funny because at the end of last year, he was in like this super flex league, and he's over here starting Bryce Young in his super flex spot, like eating his words. Like, I can't believe I have to do this. I got to start Bryce Young.
picking him up.
Yeah, isn't that funny how 14 weeks will change any team? It's insane. It really is.
It was really cool. Well, hey guys, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. We're gonna try to be putting out shows once a week at least.
Yep, once a week. We got some other people that'll be joining us periodically throughout that you'll see some different personalities and characters. There is another show that's coming on after this, The Rookies. They come on at noon. Please take a look. Watch our boys. It's going to be kind of fun to watch them beat on their chest because the Celtics finally got a win. But we just appreciate you stopping by here. Thanks for everything, y'all.
But let's go Knicks. I'm just hoping now I just want a close game. But have a great night, guys. Jacob, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next Monday.
All right, man. One love, y'all. Take it easy.
All right.